Well, they are the unsung heroes who greatly impact the lives of our children. It's a career that can be thankless, but at the same time so rewarding.
Now, here's the deal. I'm going to go ahead into the audience and send four people, up over here to the couch. I'll be talking to them. You talk to the educators here on couch.
All right, okay. So come on up. Joining us now are Jean Clements. She is president of the Hillsborough Classroom Teachers Association. And we also have James Gibbs, a middle school teacher, Amanda Newman, an elementary teacher, and Christy Gold, a high school teacher. Good to have you all here.
Good to be here.
Jean, let's start with you. Let's talk about budget cuts. How big are these cuts? What are we dealing with here?
Huge. We've had budget cuts for the last 3 years, and this year in our state, they slashed another $3 billion plus from school budgets. In our district alone, that's over $100 million in 1 year.
And what kind of an impact is that having in the classrooms?
It's going to have some significant impact. For one thing, there'll be personnel in many districts and many communities who will be lost, and people that are really essential to our kids' success. People like counselors and librarians, teacher aides, bilingual aides. We're going to suffer some real losses, but also the supplies, materials, textbooks, technology. There'll be some real cuts that will be impacting our kids' success.
James, how are you going to deal with this as a teacher?
You know, it's really difficult when we're talking that substantial budget cuts. Not only is there cuts to the teacher themselves, but there's cuts in our programs. We have to be creative on how we're going to do things. We have to ask a whole lot more community and parent involvement, doing things like coming into the classrooms, helping with the tutoring sessions, doing the peripheral things like maybe chaperoning on field trips, whatever we can do to help. Another thing is, not only did we take a cut as teachers, we contribute a lot to our students. A lot of students need financial help. Well, it kind of impacted the way we can actually help other students too, because we just don't have the finances that we used to have before.
Amanda, what has this done for your day-to-day job? How often do you have to go out, and what do you buy for the classroom that you have to bring in?
I buy a lot for my classroom, and I teach elementary school, and I think as a whole we spend a lot of money trying to make our classrooms warm and inviting, and we also like to provide a lot for our students. And as Jean was saying, we just don't have the funds anymore to necessarily do that. So we're really looking to get a lot more involvement from the community, from family members. We even ask grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever we can get to come in to help, not only in our classrooms, but throughout the school. In the media center, huge needs for people to come in and volunteer to help check out books, reshelve books, people helping in the office. I mean, the list goes on and on. There are so many places for opportunity, for volunteer opportunities there.
And Christy, are you finding the volunteers are coming out? Are you getting the help that you need?
I think people just want to be asked, and if the community if someone asks you for help, you know, say, what can I do? What do you need for your school? And it may not necessarily be a monetary thing. It, as they've said, could just be time.
Time. Yeah, that's, the more bodies I think you have with you, the better, right? Lindsay, I'm throwing it into you, and I know that you've got somebody standing by, and you've got opinions in the audience as well.
Yes, Cindy, thank you so much. This is Annie. She's from the Florida Autism Center for Excellence. It's a charter school, and she wants to know how this is going to impact charter schools. Here's your question.
As a charter school, we're still technically part of the district, but our funding is a lot different since, you know, we're not technically part of the public schools. How are these budget cuts going to affect charter school funding, and is there still a commitment within the county and nationally to ensure the success of charter schools?
I think you're going to have the same cuts that we're having in our public schools. So the need for your communities to support your school specifically, you've got a very unique population. So the people that know your school and your kids are probably the ones who are going to be most ready to jump in and help with materials, supplies, volunteering.
Yeah, we do get a lot of parental involvement, but with the charter schools, it's definitely a balance with that public school, private school, sort of in the middle, and just making sure that we're still recognized as a viable part of the educational system.
I think a lot of people think that the charter schools are sort of exempt from these budget cuts because they see charter schools as being funded by private companies, and they think, well, as long as that private company keeps funding that school, then everything's hunky-dory, but that's not the case.
No, most of the money for charter schools in our state, in Florida, does come from the public sector. It's money that's been diverted from the public school system into the public charters.
Right, so everybody's going to be affected by this. Anybody else have a comment on this? And
do you have a comment
how
about
they're going to do more with less?
No.
And what kind of impact this is going to have?
Any budget cuts?
I do have a comment on parental involvement. Like I said, I'm from the Florida Autism Center of Excellence, and we struggle to get not family but community involvement, and monetarily, and just to help make materials and stuff like that. Do you have ways of increasing this community involvement possibly?
Again, I think it's a matter of getting the word out that you're a very special school that has special needs, and going to businesses and organizations that would have a particular sympathy for that. Okay. The Ed Foundation in our county works with all of our schools and helps supply volunteers and materials, so I'd go to the Ed Foundation as well.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, and of course, shows like this, we're getting the word out that we need everybody. It takes a village to get our kids educated. Okay, Jean, James, Amanda, and Christy, stick around. Don't go anywhere, because coming up, we are going to talk with our teachers as they prepare to embark on yet another school year. And I know you're really happy about that, but it's discouraging news about the budget cuts. We'll be right back.